He's from Creative Aspirations. This beautiful team is helping students who are specializing in art and media, and they are helping them out to go study abroad. You would have heard about a lot of students who want to go abroad and do their science education, do their masters in technology, computers. But there are very few institutions, and this is the only institution which helps people to who want to specialize in art, different forms of art, help them to go there and study. So thanks a lot, Sheldon, for joining us here. So we have a lot of questions about this because this is not new. India is still oriented towards either engineering or medicine sciences. So thanks a lot for joining in.
You forgot law. Law is also a big one as well. So
Yeah.
that is out there. Yeah. Happy to be here.
Thank you, Sheldon. So, first of all, I would like to ask you about what inspired you to create this particular name, Creative Aspirations. What's the story behind the name? Who finalized that? And I think we'll start with that.
Yeah, absolutely. The name actually just happened organically. We started out with the name, and then we kind of looked at different other options, and then we came right back to Creative Aspirations because my partners and I have been in sort of admissions and education our entire careers. And especially here in my time in India, I see so many students with amazing talent, lots of talent out there. And they're really looking to figure out how to build the best possible careers. They're looking for sort of how to get to the next level. And so, whether it's in the education system here that I've seen or going abroad, sort of taking it to that next level, they're aspiring to take their creativity to the next place. So, Creative Aspirations just was a natural fit. It's very straightforward. It's not one of those funky names.
Superb. We have a lot of questions as a layman, since as I told you earlier, we are only oriented towards, medicines or engineering. And we only feel that if you are qualified only in these two areas, you're eligible or you get visa to go abroad. So I have a lot
Mhm.
of questions to ask you about this. So bear me with, this limited knowledge I have about this. But
Sure.
so what is the difference in overseas education of engineering versus art? Is it the same, or is it different?
Well, believe it or not, most universities in the United States are a mix of everything. So you will have a lot of engineering programs and you
Mhm.
will have arts programs as well. A very famous example would be the University of Texas, Austin. They are very well known for their engineering programs. They're very well known for business and accounting, but at the same time, they are incredibly well known for acting. In fact, Matthew McConaughey, which is a household name now, he is now teaching theater at the University of Texas, Austin. So there's really a lot more mixing than it would often be here in India, where you have more specialized institutions. So for families that are like, I don't know about a design school, or I don't know anything about this, but I know about UT Austin. So if my son was or daughter was to get into that program, then hey, I would be, that's a brand name I can lock onto and some surety. So there's not too much difference in terms of the types of universities that you can end up in.
Okay. By the way, friends, Sheldon is head for admissions and the university relations. So this is the responsibility where you have to maintain good relationship with all the universities out there for creative aspirations. So he's the right person if you have any questions. So if you have any questions related to education for your kids or friends' kids, or you want to go and study abroad, in arts. So, feel free to ask the questions while we are live. We will read out these questions. While I have my set of questions for him, you can also ask questions. So, Sheldon, what art is a vast form. I mean, there are a lot of dimensions, or a lot of departments within art. So, what are the options available within art?
Well, the amazing thing that's happening now with the creative economy
Mhm.
is that with the digital transformation of our society, everybody is hungry for content. whether it's Netflix or Amazon or Hotstar, Disney Plus. There's just massive desire for content. And with this digital platform comes even more of a branching out of different specializations. So even within the film industry, you've got cinematography, you've got screenwriting, you've got actual acting, then you've got all of the background VFX, you've got all the animation that goes into it, you've got all the editing that goes into it. I mean, there's just this, you've seen at the end of a Marvel movie, which is perhaps maybe the only one where you watch the credits, right? And you can see this huge list of all these people from all over the world doing this work. And that's just one small segment, whether it's fast fashion, whether it's gaming, which is just blowing up with things like Fortnite and other platforms. There's just this absolutely massive industry, along with more sort of the traditional media, like media, journalism, looking at areas like fashion and design. Fashion is changing a lot these days as well. Digital design, animation is everywhere. So this industry is really getting bigger as everyone is driven by more and more content. So it's actually, I would say, it's the golden age of these creative industries, with so many more opportunities to dive into new niches that wouldn't have been possible 20 years ago with the standard production houses or your Louis Vuittons or something like that. So it's just totally changing the whole landscape.
Okay. My son is one of them, so he is he is aspiring to get into arts and creative arts. Animation is his area where, but not he's not really good at art. So here is a question, thinking of on these lines as a parent, this is what I'm thinking. So if he has to get into art, and if he has to choose doing his masters or education in he can also do his bachelor's out there, right? He can do his graduate.
Yeah.
He has to start from masters.
Sky's the limit, whether it's the US, UK, Australia, Canada, Singapore, Dubai has got a great education system now. Lots of international universities are coming there. Bachelor's degree, I would say, when I talk to parents who are doing engineering, because I also do work in that sphere as well, undergraduate engineering in India, there's a lot of options. Undergraduate for more arts-based organizations, there are very good ones, but there are not a lot of them.
Okay.
And developing, cultivating that creativity in your bachelor's degree is I would say, a very strong option. You can wait to your master's degree. It's probably a little bit easier on the wallet and the pocketbook. Right. But doing creative undergraduate degree, a bachelor's degree abroad is really a mind opener.
Wow, that's really good to know. And in India, Sheldon, I'm asking is out of the box. In India, there are certain grade limits. Like you have to for my kid or all the kids out there who wants to get into there is a certain percentage of score they need to have to get into a good college. The normal college or the regular colleges do not have any score limits. Is there any restriction like that for getting into a nice college in arts abroad?
Oh, that's got all kinds of parts to it. Let me start with one other sort of adjustment that I bump into a lot here in India when I'm counseling families. In India, there are a huge number of universities catering to a really large population, and there are like the IITs and the IIMs or Manipols or whatever. They're very good education, but in a limited number of universities that score, if we can just go by QS rankings, world rankings, that are in the top 500, right? So students really sort of have narrow options that everyone would consider like excellent options. Whereas in the United States or any of these other international destinations, I would say just conservatively in the US, there is at least 600 universities that if you do well there, opens up your career for anything. So we sort of have to adjust what we consider good I would say a definition in my mind is good being where you can launch your career. That whatever your potential is, if you get there, then your potential will get you to any other level beyond that. So for me, if you want to get concrete numbers, if you want a good institution that's going to get you somewhere, if you're doing CBSE curriculum, I would say 75% will get you into a good, solid university. Maybe not in front of Matthew McConaughey at UT Austin, but 75% in CBSE or International Indian Council, ICESE. You're probably going to find some good, very solid options. But there's a lot that goes into your application beyond just your academics, and I can leave that to later. But it's a lot more complicated than that.
Okay. Yeah, thanks for clarifying that, because this is something which is there in the parents' mind. And, my son is, pursuing his, 11th. It's going to be another year for him before he gets into undergraduation, or graduation program. So, it's always good to set the expectation to the kids, saying that, hey, you need to score this at least for you to, explore these options. And those are the conversations which are happening right now at home. So,
go ahead.
Yeah, please.
Well, what I was going to add to that, and what I'm most proud about with Creative Aspirations and my partners, is that while I bring sort of the admissions expertise from around the world, what my partners bring through their own expertise in their careers, and quite frankly, as teachers themselves, what they bring to the table is helping students build their profile. So beyond your academics, which is being taken care of at school, beyond that, what you need to get better at drawing, what kind of, how are you going to showcase your talent to the school? And believe it or not, for American universities, your actual academics is less than 50% of the full consideration for your application. So they like to look at your portfolio. They like to look at what other activities you've done, internships, other things that are out there that are more than just the sum of what you've done in your classroom. So we offer those activities. We have mentors, what we call creative mentors, that if a student is interested, then they can do sort of one-on-one sessions, explore a different sort of industry, whether it's drawing or maybe it's acting. Then we can work with them to get internships so that they can actually get on a set, or they can go into a studio that does visual effects, or they can start writing a screenplay with one of our creative mentors. So we've got all kinds of ways for students to explore what they like and then work on building their skills so that they can look good in front of universities when they apply.
So is there any limit? I mean, is Creative Aspirations only limited to a certain country, or the options are open across all the countries?
All the countries. And countries have different advantages. I mean, the United States until just recently was in disfavor because of Donald Trump and perceived issues regarding visas and being able to work there after they graduate. Canada was a real big one recently until now it's gotten overcrowded. So in terms of admissions, with my experience, you have to be good at everything. So I've got a wide understanding from Australia, New Zealand, through Europe, France, UK, Germany, US, Canada, Singapore, and Dubai, which actually have some amazing options now as well. So we cover the full gambit, and universities have different things to offer, different aspects. Like Canada, Vancouver, huge industry connect for filmmaking. So looking at options out in Vancouver, British Columbia, looking at options in Toronto, New York City, that's filmmaking, right? But then you go all over the world to look at different industries. Even China has got a great industry now.
So first thing when we talk about studying abroad, the what comes into the mind is the fee structure. So I wouldn't ask about, what is the fee structure for, each of the media courses they do, but what is the difference between the fee structure of a student who's doing engineering or, sciences or IT versus art? Is there any substantial difference in the way the fee structure is defined? Is it lower or?
They run the full gambit. So if you take MIT, for example, to do a master's degree in computer science,
Hmm.
the MSRP is about $100,000 for a 2-year degree. If you are looking for Pratt in New York City, you're probably not going to be too much less than that if you're going into film or you're going into fashion. If you look at the other end of the spectrum, then there are a lot of good budgets, a lot of good budget options. More and more in the US, what people are looking for, UK, other places as well, is they're looking for value for money. And this is what I always talk with my families about. If you've got all kinds of money all over the place, then aim, for whatever you can potentially get into. If you only have a limited budget, then there are budget options, but there's no point in spending this amount of money when you know the result's going to be zero. And there are a lot of universities out there that give just rock bottom, almost scandalous prices and programs, and then the student has no options afterwards. So what I always do with families after we get the initial discussion of what you're looking for, what do you want to accomplish, what's the goal, then I say, okay, what's the budget? All right. Then once we have an idea of the budget, then we can work on the strategy. And of course, this then connects to scholarships, which I'm sure is going to be your follow-up question, right?
Yes.
So this is where, again, profile building comes into play, because most scholarships for international students come because the university wants you to attend. They want to invite you through the door. So the better your profile, the more attractive it is, the more likely the university is going to offer you merit scholarships. And merit scholarships are where you find most scholarship dollars coming from. There's not like this long list of organizations that are going to give you half of your tuition. It's the universities that do that. So if you're really looking for a budget, but you've got really good profile, then some programs that might be way beyond anybody's budget, frankly, will come into the budget once they get those scholarships lined up for the university. So you kind of got to figure out your range and then see where you can get your scholarships, and then sort of take out, this whole selection and figure out what you're aiming for and what your goals are within that range.
Cool.
It can be tricky.
Yeah, I know. It's going to be a long process. That's the reason. My next question is, what is the enrollment process? If somebody has to inquire and, check how much would it cost and, just explore and, be ready with it. What is the process they should be prepared for?
Well, that's the simple part. All they have to do is go to our website and send in the inquiry form. And then what will happen is one of our staff will just reach out, make sure that, what you're looking for, which one of us you need to speak with. And then we do an interest call just to get an idea of whether or not we can help. And to be honest with you, I'm a horrible salesperson. I've been a representative for a number of universities, and I've seen myself on many occasions said, you know what, I'm not a good fit. Go talk to that guy. Right? So we really we want to see what you're looking for and whether or not we can help. And we're all about educating our parents. It's a real focus that I have in everything that I'm working on. There's education, getting everybody to sort of melt away these preconceived notions and really focus on it, because there's a lot of noise out there. So making sure that we can help, making sure that we're on the same page. And then if we do, we can do small sessions, one-on-ones with me, just to see if you're interested. And then you can sign up for a package. And I always say it's never too early to start. You can could have started as a ninth grader. Your son could have started earlier. But we basically have, options for everybody. And that all starts with filling out the form, getting in touch with us, and then we can see if we can work together.
Any prerequisites, Sheldon? We've talked about who all can do, but any prerequisites that, this is the basic requirement for you to think or plan such things?
I wouldn't say there's a prerequisite in terms of numbers. What I would say is a prerequisite is an open mind and a genuine interest. There are a lot of individuals that, their education is good, but they're looking for something else. And that's kind of tough. And you can usually spot those cases pretty quickly. But I would say the prerequisite for getting in touch with us is a real genuine desire to go out there and aspire to be, to get a creative education abroad.
Okay. How expensive is this? What is the minimum, like, how many lakhs to start with?
Lakhs? Oh boy, no. To just set up a session with me one-on-one, whether it's in person or remote, is 5,000 rupees. Okay. What I also like to do with that session is actually do aptitude testing. A lot of times people in the creative streams or parents who are sort of, I don't know, I still want them to be an engineer. If you do aptitude testing, you can kind of get some objective measurements of where you fit, where your interests actually are, what your personality looks for. And then that way, if and I've done many of these mediations, they really become mediation. The son wants to act, the parent says, I want you to go into law. And then I go, okay, well, there's plenty of space in the middle. How about media law? How about, media marketing? How about, spaces in the middle? And then try to find those areas where the aptitude testing makes it a conversation of facts instead of this is what I want to do and this is how I want to make sure you have a career in the future, right? So, you can start out with that. And then if you like us, if you like what the potentiality is there, we have packages that meet the needs of pretty much everybody in terms of how we can help them achieve their goals. And then those internships or profile building or mentorship, those are sort of add-ons. And Prathama, our manager, our partner for that, she is the one that really sits with students and say, okay, this is how we can really rev up, how we can really build your skill set.
Okay. Thanks, Sheldon. One of the things which parents will be worried about, you will have segment of parents who are like ready with the cash, or they can raise funds for this education abroad. But there might be other category of parents who need educational loans to send the kids out. So is this option available? Does your organization help the students to explore these options?
We definitely know the basics of what requirements are for loans. We have a lot of options that basically fit within the 20 lakh loan sanction limit for a standard branch, which is usually pretty easy to get. I do have several partners that I work with that are loan specialists. We Make Scholars. I guess I'm putting in a pump for them, but We Make Scholars works with the Indian government, and they are really great specialists. So I've done training with their team, and they work sort of with my students, knowing that these are the different directions that they want to go in. And we basically try to find the right loan scheme for them at the right rate, because a lot of times I find families will just go down to their local branch where they know the branch manager, and then they'll spend the next 3 months begging for the loan to be processed. So when you go through people like We Make Scholars or other partners we have, they kind of make that process a little bit less painful. And they also give you a lot of different rates from different places. So that's helpful as well.
True. So, out of this, once the students go through this particular program, so what are the career path? I mean, what is the options they have available after they complete the program? Do you still handhold them? Does the university handhold them, once they complete the program studying abroad?
Yeah, that's a great question, because, in India, a university, there's two roles that it has, right? One role is to give them an education. The second role is to get them a job,
Right.
right? Uh, so any good university, and when I mentioned that number of 650 earlier, any university that's got that 650 will have a very good career development center. And I always tell my students, especially my master's degree students, as soon as you walk on campus,
Mm-hmm.
walk to the career development center and say hi. Get to know them. Have them look at your resume. And unlike in a lot of universities that I've come across here in India, the placement cell won't look at you until you're a fourth year final student. They'll say, you come back in your fourth year, then we'll discuss. Whereas in the US or the UK, while placements might not be a stat on the front of the website, you will be able to walk into that career development center from day one and say, okay, what can I do? How can I find an internship? What's going to help me interview better? Understanding the cultural differences, understanding how all of that works, becomes something that they do. We personally don't handhold our students all the way through that aspect of the process, but we do some cross-cultural grooming as part of any package that we offer. And we really try to help a student get ready to walk into that career development center on that first day. When I worked for universities, it's something that I've always wanted to make sure that students can start, as soon as they hit the ground, they just start walking. And we always want to make sure that students kind of get an idea of how to work the system once they arrive, right? So they have the system in mind. Starting to work on all those steps to get a good job afterwards is definitely going to put them on the right path.
So, Sheldon, how difficult is it to get visa approved for students who are aspiring? They've signed up for the program. Is it like a lottery where a lot of H1s are like struggling, and the previous government, and I don't know what's going to change with the new government with Mr. Biden on the hot seat. So
Right.
do the art students have to think of all this for applying for this particular program?
The simple answer to that question is the better the university and the stronger your academic profile, the better your visa chances. When I met just a year or so back with, I was at a presentation by the U.S. State Department. They said that 98% of all student visas are rejected because they do not believe it is the student's intent to study.
Okay.
So if a student is intent on studying and they've studied hard up till now, they've gotten into a good university, then getting that visa is a pretty simple task. If you get into Harvard and you go for an F1 student visa, you're not going to get a rejection. The same thing is true with UK, Australia, Canada. While the statistics might vary and while the method might be different, the bottom line is if you are a genuine student that can show how hard you work and what you want to do, especially at the undergraduate level, you don't have this issue. I do premium admissions counseling as another one of the roles that I have for another company, and I haven't had a single visa rejection in 3 years.
Super.
So if you are really focused on and intent on studying, then the visa process should be, if you prepare, should be relatively painless.
Yeah. Do you also get students who are like, hey, my parents are ready to pay for it. I just want to go there, study something, and live there for a couple of years and then come back? Do you receive students like that? They're not really bothered about art, media, and all that, but still just want to live somewhere else, apart, away from their parents.
The answer is yes, but in most of those cases, I have them sit down and do aptitude testing, or I have them, I have a real conversation about what they're interested in, and then they find out that there are things that they are truly interested in that they could study. And then just their mind flips and they go, I can really go and study that. I'm like, yeah, why not? And they're like, fantastic. Okay, let's do that. Let's find me something in that range. And I always love to see that light bulb come on in my students.
Super. So, what are the things parents should be prepared for? Because it's a combination. It's just not the student who's going to come there, and I'm sure you need to not only counsel the students with respect to the aptitude test, also check out what parents need, and if they are willing to give the complete freedom. So, I'm sure you have to deal with a lot of things from both the angles. So, what are the expectations from parents? What should they be aware of?
I would say the expectation is to come with an open mind. And there are a lot of great destinations. Like if you're worried about security, sometimes Singapore is a better option. Dubai can be a great option. South Korea, KAIST is an amazing top 50 world dominating tech institution. Great place to go. I think parents need to come in and clearly state what their hesitations are. And if they want their kids 4 hours away, but yet they've agreed to do U.S. universities, that rarely goes away without talking about it. So I think it's important. I've had parents whose kids were diabetic. I've had other ones with other chronic disabilities, and they're worried about what happens if. And you really got to talk that through. And then what I often do is connect, especially in the U.S. I connect parents to the right people at the university so that they know they can ask their own questions and kind of, if they have any hesitations, kind of walk that through. And with me, it's usually about breaking stereotypes. So ask me the stereotype. Say, this is where my kid's not going to do well. I don't want a big party school. I want small school, rural community. That's where he's going to be the best. I'm like, good. Let's start there and see where we can build.
Okay. So, since we are talking about art, media, films, and this is the specialty of creative aspirations. Do you personally suggest what's really good after you know the student well, after the aptitude test and what he is looking for? Do you also guide him that this is the right university, this should be a good fit for you? Do you guide and with respect to the country and the university?
Yeah, and the word you used there was the right word, and that is fit. What I do is I usually come up with a very strong list of universities that I think would be a good fit, and I leave it to the student to then go through that list. And for each university, I ask the student, write what you like, write what you don't like, and I want 3 points of each. So students write that down. And then they come back to me and I say, okay, so why did you pick Georgia Tech? I don't know. Well, you picked it. Why do you like it? I like it because of the brand name. Like, okay, you get one of those. Now, tell me what's a good fit. And when I tell a student, especially at undergrad, you're going to be there 4 years. 4 years. Students are like, yeah, I should kind of like the place, shouldn't I? I'm like, yeah. So they get into sort of understanding more what they like about institutions, the huge variety that's out there. And then the conversation happens with parents. And then you kind of come to sort of a common consensus as to which options parents are willing to pay for, whether it's in your family perhaps, and then where the student really wants to be.
Okay. Yeah. So are there any scholarships possible? Any programs, anything where any university where scholarships are possible, where either complete or partial amount is sponsored by the university or any third-party institution?
Yeah, it's 95%. I would say it might be even higher, but 95% of scholarships are given by universities themselves. Right. So really, it's about finding the right universities that want to offer you a scholarship, making sure that if you're a good fit, then more likely or not, they're going to be a good fit for you. And so they're going to want you to come. So if you can find that right group of institutions that's going to say, hey, this person belongs here, then they're more likely to offer you money. There are lots of other scholarships out there, smaller scholarships, maybe $1,000 here, $1,000 there, but it takes a while and a lot of work to pile those up to make a dent in a lot of programs. So to me, I always say focus on getting university scholarships. Fellowships also are important. Teaching assistantships also good as well. Can cut down on a lot on what you have to spend if you get one of those. But you've got to have the preparation. You can't be a teaching assistant unless you've got some experience, unless you've got something in your background.
Good. So when it comes to students studying abroad, the duration of 4 years or 3 years they spend during the program. While they're abroad, is there any support that's given to them, like a helping hand, so that they can successfully complete the program? And for the parents, because they're always worried that the kid is out there. So what sort of support that's like rendered during this 4 years?
It's a great question. Most good universities in the United States will have their own medical center on campus.
Mm-hmm.
Most universities, very good universities and better, will have a school counselor. And one of the things that I very strongly encourage, and this is another topic we can talk about maybe later, is the idea of a smaller university. It doesn't need to be a big state school with 65,000 students. I think the number is better if, between 5 and 15, where there's a real community. A small student-teacher ratio is also good as well. If you've got 9 students, one for every 1 faculty member, you've got an advisor that's paying attention to you.
Right.
And if they see you're kind of not on your toes, then they'll talk to you. Then they can have you talk to the counselor. There's no stigma around it either. If you go and talk to a counselor just to check in, there's no one's going to come after you for that. No one's going to look down on you. So between the medical care on campus, between the psychological well-being support, between the faculty, really, they become surrogate parents. In fact, my advisor that I had when I was in college, way back, I'm still friends with him. He's still a good friend of mine. In fact, he's come to visit me in India just less than 3 years ago. So you can build those kinds of relationships with faculty and staff at a university, and that to me is the best.
Super. I have a couple of more questions. Before that, let me play this particular video which talks about the team, some of the students, and the programs of Creative Aspirations. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask while Sheldon is live. So here is the Hey, that's awesome, team. So, any testimonials or any compliments that you've received, Sheldon? During this entire process, you have decades of experience where you're sending kids abroad. So, anything which is very close to your heart?
Yeah, actually, a student that I've been working with recently for 2021, obviously it's been very challenging because of COVID. And he took a gap year. And he came from a theater background, but he's like, theater is probably not going to be a very sustainable career going forward. And he was a bit lost and took the gap year. And then we connected through another referral, another student that I'd worked with. And during the lockdown, we were trying to figure out what he could do, what courses he could take, how he could figure out what he wanted to do. And just a few weeks ago, we got into the dream institution that he wanted to get into, and he was incredibly excited. And what he said was that, I had an idea of where I wanted to go, but you got me on the track, and you sort of pushed me in that direction and got me going to sort of hone down what I wanted to do, and then apply to the programs that fit. And that's what that's the dream. That's the goal, and that's the reason why with something like Creative Aspirations, he had a 75-page screenplay, and I don't know how to tell whether a screenplay is good or whether there's potential in a screenplay. So now with Creative Aspirations, I have somebody that can read a screenplay with him, who can really give him feedback. And he had to submit that to a number of universities. And he's like, I don't know if it's good enough. I don't know where I can make it better. How can I make my documentaries better? And now with Creative Aspirations, I have that ability. So he and a number of other students, those are the ones that are really in my mind, and trying to give them the right tools to sort of match that creativity that they have in themselves.
How important is internship, before doing the program or after doing the program? Is it really critical, especially, talking about art and media?
I would say having experience that you can talk about, even in a statement of purpose or an essay, and saying, hey, I did this and I learned this and I want to learn more, or I've done this and it's for me and this is my life. Talking about things from a technical perspective, practical applications of what you learned, that has a lot of authority to your conversation. And again, when you're looking to get a job afterwards, having an internship before, getting an internship during your studies will definitely help you with landing that job afterwards. So to me, definitely internships are they're eye openers. I mean, it really adds a level of maturity. And we put a process in place where it's really very goal oriented with our partners. We're like, okay, what is the student going to be doing? What are the outcomes? And we make sure that the partner mentor actually sits and jots these down. So we say, okay, what are the realistic goals the student's going to be able to achieve? Because in the end, if they're working with us, we also want to make sure that it's usable in an application. So we want to make sure that we can talk about results, what they've achieved, which helps build their application. So we make sure everybody stays on that same page, so that it's not just going out and getting coffee or sitting there on the side of the stage watching people do work and not really getting involved. We always make sure that they're doing something that they can really highlight.
Super. Sheldon, what is the USP, or what are the couple of USPs Creative Aspirations have compared to other similar service providers out there? So what is that? I mean, I have a couple of things which I've observed, which I will, I'll spill the beans later, but I want you to talk about what are the USPs of coming to Creative Aspirations.
I think the first one is that I don't know of any other organization that does focus specifically on the creative industries and economy. We have that experience. I mean, Prathama has made movies. Mahendra has run his own animation program. So we have a lot of great partners, a lot of great experience, very strong network. So we really, as I was saying earlier, can really connect the students, kind of mentors and experiences they need to be competitive when you're applying for strong programs abroad. So that would be step number one. Step number two, I'm all about educating students. And again, Prathama has been a teacher, Mahendra's been a teacher, I've been a teacher. we're we like to educate the parents, we like to educate the students, and really give them an understanding of the big picture, right? So at every step, I think we and I've had plenty of parents say, "Yeah, we get it. Let's hop on to the next thing." But getting that education, I think that's important. When I look at a lot of agencies in India, just by the sheer numbers, they focus on the numbers and they focus on computer science students. They focus on MBBS. They focus on mechanical, civil engineering. These are the big numbers. And they can kind of just be sort of like, okay, give me this, give me this, give me this, apply here. And while there are a lot of exceptions to that, there are a lot of other great agencies. I think of a student, and I've had agencies come to me, and they say, "We have no idea where to send this animation student. Can you help us out?" Even those genuine agencies, they just don't have the experience. So they'll probably try to send you to an institution they know for computer science, not for animation. So I think educating students, really having that expertise to build out for them and educating them on the process, getting them prepared so that they can make the right decisions. I would say that that's the difference in approach for us.
Yeah, that's very important because I've personally made mistake, and when I chose between two computer institutions. I joined NIIT, which is one of the well-known brands for computer education. I paid the
Yeah.
fee, then realized I actually wanted to do animation, but I ended up in a programming institution.
Yeah.
I had to continue the 1.5 year program, a diploma program, because I paid the fee. I paid the entire fee that time, and I
Right.
realized later that AppTech Arena was the actual institution I was supposed to join. So wish I
Right.
had a mentor or an institution which could guide me, saying that, hey, you're looking for this. This is the institution, not this. I would have saved a lot of money. I would have done some more creative stuff, better than what I'm doing right now. But yeah, I personally admit on this particular platform, I made a mistake that time. And, I had to, it's not only about money. I lost the money. I had no interest and I was suffering for the 1.5 year. I was regretting that what am I doing? And I hate programming, and it was like that C++, COBOL, SQL, and stuff like that. Like I know them, but I hate sitting on them and doing it. So yeah,
Yep.
I get there. I know how important is the mentoring important before we sign up for any institution. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So the USP, I validate. I mean, I had this one conversation with you. I've gone through your platform, Sheldon. The feedback I have is there are a lot of agencies out there. I also take your feedback there, but I've seen that there's no face to it. You on your website and the entire team is saying that, hey, we are responsible for it.
Yeah.
All the other agencies have models or stock images out there, but your
Yeah.
agency talks about these are the leaders, these are the heads who will take care of your kids. That is one great USP, because a lot of parents get worried about who's going to handle it, and we don't know who are the owners, who don't know who is managing the show, except for the counselor or the receptionist. Nobody else is like contactable. But I really like the way they can also come to you and have counseling with you, talk to you if they have any questions. The parents can also approach you. This will make a lot of difference. So that's my take. But thanks
Thank
a
you.
lot,
Yeah.
Sheldon. Anything else you want to talk or give a message to parents out there or the kids out there who are aspiring to get into art and media?
Uh, I guess the message from all the students that I've worked with in this field is that um, you know you're most successful when you're following your heart. I mean, it's just you can look at any of the great names of any century, and you're going to find out that's the case. So where there's a will, there's a way. Where there's a talent, you can figure out amazing things that can be done. So educate yourself. Look at all the amazing new careers that are developing in this digital age. Look at all of the ways in which you can nurture your own creativity, and then do the research. Talk to your parent. Have an ongoing conversation, because parents want the best for their kids, And if you come to your parents with say, hey, this is what I see as the future. This is where I see my passion. Let's talk about it. Let's see how can I convince you? How can we move forward with this? And from parents, I would say my word of advice is be open and let your kids start to take on that responsibility. Get them to convince you. Have them jump through those hoops, and go to it with an open mind and educate yourself. The internet's a wonderful thing, and it's much more than and retweets, and it's got lots of information to really help you out of it.
Thank you, Sheldon. Thanks a lot for coming on to this particular show and sharing these insights. And a lot of parents out there, students are there, are not aware of these options which are available. They end up getting in, to steps which are more complicated, more cumbersome. So thank you for sharing it, and thanks for sharing your beautiful mind of things which are really relevant for students out there who are getting into art.
Yeah.
So all the
Thank you
friends,
for having me. It's been a pleasure.
thank you, Sheldon. All the friends who are watching this, do share this particular video if you have friends or students or kids who are aspiring to get into arts or want to study abroad. Do share this particular video, and we'll share all the social handles and the website and the contact details where you can connect with Creative Aspirations team. So do connect with them. They are based out of Hyderabad, but they're just phone call away. You can connect with them and get all your queries taken care of. Yeah. Thank you,
Yeah.
friends. Have
Thank
a
you very
great
much.
day, great evening. Thank you, Sheldon.
Take care. Bye bye.